Hey guys, it's Chris. From the dumbest quarantine breakers to a silly woman who kidnapped herself inside of a stranger's garage, here are 10 of the dumbest things people have done. Number 10. Catching spiders. This has to be one of the dumbest things people have ever done. It's a video of a man who got caught on video trying to catch a giant spider on his ceiling using a bowl. This particular spider was a giant huntsman, which are some of the biggest, hairiest, and scariest spiders in Australia. They're also huge pests that invade people's homes. It's not clear in the video how exactly the giant huntsman spider got onto the man's ceiling, but he also didn't really seem to be in any mood to leave. So the Australian got onto a ladder, carefully raised what appeared to be a plastic bowl, and tried to catch the huntsman, probably to remove it peacefully from the house. Of course, it didn't work out very well for this guy. When he tried to catch the spider, it instead jumped off of the ceiling and directly onto this guy's face, causing him to scream, fall off the ladder, and scurry out of the room before the video ended. This was obviously not a very bright idea, as it turned out that the huntsman spider was more terrifying to this guy and maybe even a little bit smarter than him too. What's the biggest spider you've ever seen? Did you have to catch it? Was it inside your house, or hopefully it was outside? Tell me about your scariest spider encounter in the comments section down below. Then remember to subscribe to World List for more hilarious videos just like this one. Number 9. Gorilla Glue Hairdo. If the 2020 quarantine taught the world anything, it's that people are a whole lot dumber than they appear. For example, when people are trapped in their homes for long periods of time, they tend to get bored and drawn to the stupidest activities you can possibly imagine. Take the woman who went viral during the quarantine because she applied Gorilla Glue directly to her head as a way to keep her hairstyle exactly the same. I mean, she thought by gluing her hair in place, she could have the exact same look for all of eternity. Of course, you're supposed to use a special wig glue that's safe for your skin if you want to preserve your hairstyle. Gorilla Glue is industrial strength, meaning that this stuff does not come off. In fact, Gorilla Glue even commented on the woman's social media page. They told her the secret formula to get the glue out of her hair, but they did warn her that it would take a lot of time before it came out and that her hair might be permanently damaged. This may have been one of the most brain-dead experiments any human being could have performed on themselves. Number 8. Quarantine breakers. Imagine being so dumb that you thought you were above the law. This is exactly how dumb a newlywed couple from California was when they decided to spend their honeymoon in Hawaii during the pandemic. As you might already know, Hawaii has a strict self-quarantine rule that every visitor needs to abide by. But when a young couple in their 20s got married and decided to take their honeymoon to the Hawaiian Islands, they didn't plan on following the rules like everybody else. They entered the hotel after about 10 p.m. and were informed of the requirements for their quarantine by the hotel manager. However, they simply laughed at the manager and then went outside anyways to buy a pizza. The next day, the manager told the young honeymooners that they were not allowed to leave their room and that they were in violation of the rules. But nonetheless, they left their room again to go enjoy their honeymoon. Well, guess what? They spent the remainder of their honeymoon and their time in Hawaii under arrest. The hotel manager informed the police tracked the couple down, and they were arrested and charged for unsworn falsification to authority and violation of the mandatory 14-day quarantine. The couple were then forced to purchase a plane ticket back to mainland USA. In the end, they wasted a whole ton of money and a whole lot of time because they were too dumb to follow the rules. Number 7. Too many dogs. Just imagine being such a dumb animal breeder that you end up with a surplus of the very animals you're trying to sell and are forced to give up your business and surrender the animals to the authorities. Well, this is exactly what happened to a husky breeder in Colorado, who somehow ended up with 50 extra purebred Siberian huskies and was forced to give them up to 4 different animal shelters throughout Colorado, including shelters in Denver and Boulder. Now, the story from CBS Denver isn't exactly clear on what happened to the dumb breeder who let this happen, but they did say the animals are being taken care of and provided proper shelter. The dogs also had to receive medical and behavioral assessments. One of the officials involved in the project said that the dogs were in good health when they were seized, but were under-socialized and confused and would need behavioral support before they were able to be adopted. Just keep these kinds of situations in mind before you visit a breeder. Most of them are reasonable and trustworthy, but clearly not all of them. Number 6. Trapped in a stranger's garage. It's time to look at some seriously stupid incidents, like the woman in Brazil who got accidentally kidnapped because she was just so dumb. Here's what happened. First, a guy on a motorcycle opened his garage and drove his motorcycle out onto the street. At the same time this was happening, a woman happened to be passing by the motorcyclist's garage directly under his closing door. The automatic door swung closed as the motorcycle guy drove off, catching the woman completely unaware and literally scooping her into the stranger's garage. It acted like a broom, sweeping her into his random garage while she had just been walking down the street. And get this, the whole thing was caught on a surveillance tape, and it's probably one of the most hilarious videos currently on the internet. Imagine accidentally kidnapping yourself in a stranger's garage. The woman can even be seen pacing inside the garage, completely distraught and trying to signal to the camera in case anyone was watching. According to a report from the Daily Mail, the woman was trapped in the garage for about an hour before being saved by another woman who was sweeping up the leaves outside. Hopefully, she wasn't late for any appointments. Number 5. Into a manhole. The next dumb person on our list might not be as stupid as she was just unlucky. It's honestly such a funny story that you need to hear it anyways. Here's what happened. Back in Brazil, a 27-year-old woman was riding her moped down the street when she was carelessly cut off by a bad driver in a little red car who wasn't paying attention when making a left turn. The driver of the vehicle struck the woman on her moped, causing an absolute catastrophe. And as if it wasn't bad enough to be knocked off her moped by an idiot in a car, the woman flew across the pavement, hit the sidewalk, and plummeted headfirst into an open manhole. This incident was captured on video, and you can clearly see the woman tumbling across the pavement directly into a sewer opening, almost like a bowling ball rolling nicely into the gutter. And in case you think I'm exaggerating, I'm definitely not. The woman completely disappears into the manhole. Even stranger is that later on in the video, you can see the woman emerging from the manhole without the helmet she had previously been wearing. Either she took the helmet off herself, or it cracked when she fell into the dark abyss of the sewer. But whatever the case, at least she was wearing one. The woman's helmet very well might have saved her during this unfortunate tumble. As for the horrible driver in the red car, he apparently got away without getting into any trouble at all. Number 4. Falling asleep on the job. The star of this crazy adventure is either very dumb or just very lazy. It's impossible to say, but take a look at what happened. A Subway employee was recently captured on film literally falling asleep in the middle of making a sandwich for a customer. It's funny because she had most of the sandwich already done and looked to be applying the salt and pepper when she literally passed out, slowly sinking her face onto the table until she nestled her nose into the customer's sandwich. The woman was then completely asleep, using the sandwich as a pillow. I mean, of course the woman was probably so tired she literally couldn't stay awake. And now that I think about it, this might be a little sadder than it is dumb, but it still must have been an absolutely hilarious experience to witness a Subway employee falling asleep while adding toppings and sauces to what appears to be a ham sandwich. Number 3. Samurai at the gym. This video wouldn't be complete without at least one dumb guy at the gym. Anyone who spends any amount of time working out in public knows that people are ridiculous and do some seriously weird stuff at the gym. Take this guy who brought a samurai sword with him to the gym to do some very strange training exercises. He wielded the sword while riding on a resistance bike, probably training for some kind of chariot battle. Then on the treadmill, he thought it would be a good idea to recreate a scene from Gladiator. He did more training with the sword while doing sit-ups, probably imagining himself fighting a zombie horde. And at this point, you have to wonder what the guy was thinking. Was it just a fake video to get some attention? Was the guy really dumb enough to wield a sword inside of a gym? Possibly even putting others at risk? And the real question is, was he really training to be some kind of samurai? I kind of want the answer to all of those questions. Number 2, the dumbest criminal. Criminals are definitely not always the smartest people in the world. Even the best bank robbers tend to be a little bit on the dumb side, not even getting away with their crimes. But a man named Andrew Hennels took his stupidity to a level unseen before in the criminal underworld. The armed robber boasted on Facebook that he had plans to raid a supermarket. He literally posted in his Facebook account that he was going to rob Tesco, and then he posted pictures of himself with the very knife he would use to rob the store. And I mean, of course, the guy was caught quite swiftly. Within just 15 minutes of the robbery, police caught the man and his knife and the roughly $500 he got away with from the local supermarket. According to Sergeant Pete Jessup, who had been involved with the case, it was bizarre and unusual. And of course, it was also incredibly dumb. Number 1, penguin theft. How dumb do you have to be to steal a penguin? The answer is very, very stupid. And you must be really quite dumb to steal a famous penguin from a theme park in Australia. And yet this is exactly what 3 men did when they broke into the park in the middle of a Saturday night. They swam in the dolphin enclosure, and then they stole a 7-year-old penguin named Dirk. But what's really horrifying is that the fools who decided to steal the penguin simply let it go into the wild, where it had no business being. The tiny bird had never lived in the wild on its own. It had no idea what to do outside. But thankfully, SeaWorld received a call from a concerned member of the public who spotted the penguin just a day after the robbery, and it was being chased out of a nearby park by a dog. The poor confused penguin was eventually recaptured and brought back into the park. The information from the public then helped the police capture the 3 buffoons who had committed the crime. And kinda like the last foolish criminal we talked about, these guys were caught after posting what they had done on Facebook. According to the report from the BBC, all 3 penguin kidnappers have since been charged with stealing, trespassing, and unlawful kidnapping of a protected animal. So what's the dumbest thing you've ever witnessed? Let me know in the comments, and thanks as always for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for all the latest and greatest videos from World List.